denk dat je niet zo vreselijk veel macht hebt om dingen anders te laten gaan. Het gebeurt gewoon.
Maar ja, ik ben wel blij dat ik gewoon nog leef natuurlijk.
On voit l'être aimé, complètement distordu et il est là, il est plus là, mais en même temps il est là.
Quando hai alle spalle un dolore, una sofferenza del genere, apprezzi anche le piccole cose. Non è scontato niente, non è scontato che respiri, non è scontato che stai in piedi e cammini, puoi correre, non è scontato vedere il sole, non è scontato niente.
Bijna verdwaasd rond, in een trance rond. Maar ik moet zeggen, de zorg eromheen is wel heel erg goed. En ja, het was een heftige tijd, maar wel een mooie tijd.
Welke gevoelens ik heb ervaren. Ja, je bent ontzettend nauw betrokken bij mijn vrouw, wat die meemaakt. En je kunt daar niks mee, maar je moet er zelf mee uit de voeten. En je hebt wel het volle vertrouwen, dat had ik wel steeds.
Io sono un medico di terapia intensiva, non un rianimatore, nel senso che lavoro con i neonati, quindi mi occupo di tutt'altra di bambini molto molto piccoli, non faccio il loro stesso lavoro, però chiaramente il rapporto con i medici è stato condizionato anche dalla mia posizione. Tra l'altro sono dei colleghi perché sono nel mio stesso, quindi da una parte ero sicuramente facilitata nel comprendere razionalmente quello che stava succedendo, cioè non avevo bisogno dei lunghissimi colloqui perché mi spiegassero per avere notizie cliniche, perché era più semplice riassumermi le cose. D'altra parte, dal punto di vista umano, dal punto di vista emotivo, questo non è servito a niente, anzi forse ha peggiorato le cose, perché sapevo cosa poteva succedere e non volevo accettarlo.
Ahora lo que me motiva es mejorar la vida de la gente. Ya no es tanto la técnica, ¿no?, como cuando eres joven, porque llega un punto que la técnica es técnica y no tiene ningún secreto, sino las pequeñas cosas que pueden hacer que marcan la diferencia. El hablar con el paciente, con la familia, el hacer una educación sanitaria que nadie ha hecho hasta ese punto y tú no lo sabías porque dabas por hecho que lo habían hecho. Esas cosas son las que te motivan, el mejorar el cuidado del paciente.
Il faut faire du cas par cas, en fait. C'est primordial. Parce que chaque histoire est différente. Et quand vous vous trouvez en tant que patient, en tant que famille de patients, dans cette situation, dans un univers où vous ne parlez pas cette langue-là, cette langue faite d'acronymes et de termes techniques que vous ne connaissez pas, quand vous vous retrouvez face au savoir et que du coup vous vous retrouvez impuissant, que vous vous retrouvez stupide, que vous vous retrouvez humilié, que vous vous retrouvez démuni, comment faire?
Jokainen lääkäri varmaan pelkää komplikaatiota tai jotakin, että ei hiffaa jotain juttua, mitä olisi pitänyt hiffata, joskin siinäkin auttaa se, että harvoin tekee yksin koko päivää töitä. Nämä tuli nyt äkkiseltään mulle mieleen.
And what scares me is that making those decisions and making those wrong decisions and the realization that that decision in 3-4 weeks' time, where you end up having a patient who in effect can be crippled by life-sustaining therapy, which may not have been in their best interests or the family's best interests. And that still scares me. And I think it scares a lot of colleagues, but intensive care is much more multidisciplinary now, and I think that has helped our decision-making and has reduced that fear factor.
Honesty and humility go a long way. And most patients and relatives understand that we're also human and mistakes can happen and should be openly discussed.
Οι ασθενείς όμως έρχονται σε επαφή με εμάς, ιδιαίτερα αυτοί που βγαίνουν από το νοσοκομείο, πηγαίνουν σε κέντρα αποκατάστασης και ύστερα από πάρα πολύ καιρό έρχονται να μας συναντήσουν, γιατί ξέρουν τα πρόσωπά μας, τις φωνές μας, τον αγώνα που δίνουμε μέσα στο χώρο για να καταφέρουμε να τους σώσουμε, να επιβιώσουν και έρχονται να μας δουν, να μας γνωρίσουν από κοντά, να τους δούμε κι εμείς.
Together with my colleagues, in particular the nursing colleagues, we arranged a wedding for a patient who was at the end of his life and had decided to marry his long-term partner before he later died. And it was very moving to be part of this very special event in the intensive care unit.
It's a real privilege to be able to support a patient and their family through that what I hope is the worst thing that ever happens to them in their lives, to be able to support them through that, hopefully to recovery, or to support them through managing a dignified death.
Il faut ramener la vie. Pourquoi est-ce que tout est si blanc et voire gris? Pourquoi est-ce que ce lino couine autant sous les crocs des médecins? C'est insoutenable. Pourquoi est-ce que tout était autant aseptisé? C'est pas 3 photos qui vont empêcher les gens de travailler. Moi, je pense que c'est important de ramener de la vie à cet endroit où on se trouve à la frontière au bord d'eux, on se trouve dans une espèce de no man's land où on sait pas sur quoi ça va déboucher, quoi.
La mia opinione della terapia intensiva è fantastica perché mi hanno salvato la vita e dopo 3 anni sono qui. Anche a un altro ospedale che mi hanno dato per morto, per fortuna sono arrivato in questa terapia intensiva e mi hanno salvato veramente la vita.
Solo belle cose possono uscire dalla mia bocca, ovviamente, perché senza di loro non sarei qui, ripeto, non sarei qui oggi.
Intensive care medicine allows me to learn something new every day. So every day I meet colleagues and I hear of their new technologies, new advances, and progress in their particular specialty. But most importantly, every day is a different day with new challenges, and I enjoy the interaction with my colleagues and most importantly with patients and their relatives. So provides a great variety, it's different every day, and it's a specialty where progress is made on a regular basis.
Grazie perché mi hanno ricordato anche come si lavora. Cioè, io faccio questo mestiere, lo faccio da tanti anni, ci sono dei momenti in cui sei stanco, in cui hai le tue cose, nel senso che hai la tua vita, hai delle preoccupazioni, però io ero serena quando andavo via, non perché sapevo che non sarebbe morto, poteva morire, poteva star male, ma era nelle mani migliori, sapevo che era nelle migliori mani e questo mi dava quel minimo di tranquillità che potevo cercare. È giusto che i bambini che mi vengono affidati e i genitori quando vanno a casa possano pensare la stessa cosa. Siamo nelle migliori mani, quindi dobbiamo sempre fare il meglio. Grazie a loro per esserlo il meglio.
So I am a full-time intensivist and proud to be one. We're all working together in a multidisciplinary fashion to fight COVID-19. Together, we are intensive care medicine.
Hello, I'm internal medicine specialist and I'm proud to be an intensivist. We intensivists are working hard to fight for COVID-19. Together, we are intensive care medicine. Thank you.
I am the editor of Intensive Care Medicine Journal and I'm proud to be an intensivist. We are working together to fight COVID-19 and to take care also of non-COVID patients. Together, we are intensive care medicine.
I'm a nephrologist and I'm proud to be an intensivist. We intensivists are working together to fight COVID-19. Together, we are intensive care medicine.
I'm an anesthesiologist and I'm proud to be an intensivist. We intensivists are working together to fight COVID-19. Together, we are intensive care medicine.
Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to this session today named What's Next, President? Today we will have an amazing chat with our president, Maurizio Cecconi, and you will be able to ask all your questions. So please start writing your questions and we will ask him. My name is Laura Galarza. I'm an intensivist at Hospital General in Castellón in Spain, and also the next deputy chair. My co-host today is Stefan Schaller.
Yeah, welcome everyone and welcome to What's Next, President. And I'm very happy to be here with Laura today and Maurizio Cecconi, our president. My name is Stefan Schaller. I work as an anesthesiologist and intensivist in Berlin, Germany at the Charité University Hospital, and I'm the next chair of the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine. And now I'm honored to introduce our president, Maurizio Cecconi. He's a full professor and head of the Department of Anesthesia and Intensive Care at the Humanitas Research Hospital in Milan. He was, with 39, the youngest full professor and head of department in Italy, and since last year is the president of our society. I welcome Maurizio Cecconi, and I'm very interested to give him some time first to explain that his important goals about the society and how this relates to next to young intensivists. Maurizio.
Hello, Stefan. Hello, Laura. Very nice to see you, first of all. I am very excited to be with you today. And before I answer your question, and I'll give you my vision for the next years of our society, let me thank you and all the people from Next in the committee, all the young intensivists that you represent, because I really believe you've been really the backbone of our society, especially in what has been a very challenging year around the world. I don't have to tell you that we are in a pandemic, but certainly we've learned a lot from the younger group of intensivists in our society on how to communicate, on how to try to be present over the last years. And I think your contribution has been outstanding, both on the front line and in media for our society. My vision, it's our vision, I hope, for the society. In preparation for my presidency, I spent a lot of time speaking to people, speaking to you, Stefan, many other members of the executive committee, the council, but any members really try to understand what are the needs of our society. And I think if I have to summarize my vision is for our society to be a society of intensive care medicine, of course, with a European core, but with a global community that fosters clinical excellence. That's what we are here for our patients and our families. And with education and research really as leading light, to try to improve ICU patients' outcome and families' lives. We need to do this by trying to be as inclusive as possible and trying to give opportunity to who want to be involved with our society. So we need to give fair opportunities based on merit to everyone that wants to come to our society. And clearly, this is a big open door to the younger generation of ESICM. I think it's fair to say that some years ago we realized that we were a society that was not diverse enough. We started a series of changes to try to bring more diversity in gender, in age. We need to work more also in geography. It's my commitment to work more on these changes, really to try to, with the help of everyone, to get the society thriving. It's often said that when you're in a crisis, and we've been in a crisis with COVID, you need to stick to your values to try to navigate in this crisis and really to adapt to the situation and really to try to do what's best in the situation. Speaking with many of you, I've identified 5 values that I think are defining the values of our society now. The diversity, the respect for each other, the inclusiveness, and the vision to be the society that we want to be, really, and the excellence in what we do. And I think by doing that, I really hope to see more and more young people involved in the society this year, in the coming years, in the many activities that we are still leading, still creating, and the many that I want to hear from you on what we should be creating on. So that's the summary, Stefan, and I will be very happy to take any questions or comments from you, Laura, or anyone else.
Thank you very much, Maurizio. Before we start with the first question, I would just tell again our listeners and viewers why we are sitting here today. I think it is important that we have this connection because we do not have on-site meetings. It is really difficult at the moment to have network, especially for young intensivists. And so we were thinking, how can we connect? How can we come together? And although online is not the same, this is one of the opportunities we would like to give you. So please ask your questions online and we will ask them to our President Maurizio. And until then, I would like to ask Laura to ask a first question.
Yeah, thank you. So following what you were saying, no, we don't have any face-to-face meeting. So how do you think, Maurizio, we could mitigate the problem of not having this networking, this possibility of finding a mentor to guide us in our career in intensive care or in research? How can we do it?
So first of all, Laura, I think you are raising a very important problem, and you have all my sympathy for this, because I really believe the younger generation has really had a big disadvantage in this moment with the lack of face-to-face meetings. And first of all, one of the things that we've tried to do a lot with your help is also trying not just to convert face-to-face meetings to webinars. I think everyone is bored of transforming a face-to-face educational lecture into just a webinar. The interactivity is something that we try to increase, but clearly it's not just these these appointments like the webinar of today and what we are doing today, or some of the podcasts that you are now also involved. Missing that casual encounters that we had the face-to-face meeting, like going for a coffee after you see the speaker that you are admiring or the researcher that you see, you can create a network. It's clearly is a big gap that we have now. And I think as a society, we need to try to help you and to help others to try to connect. So first of all, I think if you've noticed, we have tried to have very frequent live appointments. A live appointment like the one of today is an appointment in which you can try at least to ask some questions and maybe some follow-up questions and see if you can get in touch with the speaker or someone else. We try to be very active in social media. People say the leadership is presence, and we are trying to have our presence with very frequent live appointments. And now pretty much every week we have 1 or 2 live appointments. So that's one thing, Laura. But another thing that I am trying to do also with the executive committee, but also trying to make everyone aware of this issue is also the fact that with the many activities that we are undertaking now, new guidelines, new projects, new groups, and so on, always to have Next and members of Next helping actively in this process. Stefan knows last year, about a year ago, we were starting to prepare the C19 space program. The help of Next, both in terms of experts and delivery and network, was instrumental. I really think we are learning from each other. It's not just the young generation is learning from the older. And having you involved with guidelines, with a new project that we are doing, is my commitment that every new project that we do in the society, we will ask you to help us and to reach out to your members to see who can help us better in this project. And this, I think, it's at least something to mitigate. But if I can also finish, don't worry, as soon as the travel restrictions will finish, we will meet again, because we know that this is very important for everyone and especially for you.
Thank you, Maurizio. I also want to highlight when we are asked by you or by others in the society to support you with Next members, that we are trying to do this by making open calls. So as you have said, that we get a diverse group, that everyone who applies the Next criteria to himself or herself can apply, and then based on merit we make a decision and bring the people forward. So it is not only an opportunity for members of the Next committee, but for example for working within the antibiotic app ESICM is now working on, we had this first open call. Also for the Congress, we have envisioned a new program part in the Next launch, which will be called A Star is Rising, where we would like to apply with a recent published paper where young people can then talk about a topic they have been publishing recently. And I'm looking forward to this and hope that a lot of people are going to apply. So I see now that the first questions are coming in, and I would like to start with one I also had in my mind. You were already alluding that at the moment it was really difficult to meet. So the first question is, when do you think that we will be able to start the Next fellowship program again? And are you going to support and make sure that we can sustain this program on the long term?
So I'm glad you're asking that question, Stefan, because we are missing you guys coming around our intensive care units. And it's not just the pleasure that you get going around, it's also for us seeing you coming and the exchange that we get with this. As soon as possible is the answer. I don't have a crystal ball. I also like to remind everyone that we are in a kind of a privileged situation in Europe, especially because we have significant access to vaccines that are really bringing the light at the end of the tunnel. Not everyone is in this privileged situation, so we have to remember that we will have to carry on until the pandemic is finished, really to try to bring opportunities for education also to who cannot travel. But as soon as we can travel in Europe, and I really hope that if we carry on with the fast pace of vaccinations that we have now in Europe, maybe will come end of the year or the beginning of next year, I think we will be able to resume this. We will definitely work hoping to resume them. And in this sense, you have my commitment to find all possible resources, Stefan, to bring back the fellowship. We think it's important for you. It's important for us. A society like us really thrive when we create a network of collaborations, of friendships across our units. You know, this is very important for me, but I know it's very important for you. So the answer is as soon as possible, and you have my commitment to support you with that.
Yeah, thank you, Maurizio. I think it's an important point. We should meet as soon as possible. But going back to pandemics, no, I think that's one important question here, and mostly from students also. What would you recommend to a medical student with a strong will to become an intensivist? Because right now, most ICUs are closed to students. In the past, we have free entrances for lives for some students, but what could they do? How could we engage them more into becoming intensivists?
So, first of all, I would recommend the universities not to close the ICUs to medical students. It may seem a joke, but actually I had a long discussion with my university last year, even during the first wave of the pandemic. And I was very glad that my university actually exchanged with me on this, because I think looking back in 20 years of time, I would be very upset if I was a medical student during a pandemic and I was not allowed the possibility to come and see how was clinical life at the bedside and maybe even trying to help. I think it maybe should be done in a voluntary basis, but I think we shouldn't close our ICUs just because there is a pandemic. We know how to protect healthcare workers now. If we use personal protective equipment properly, we now also have vaccines, the chances of becoming infected are very low. So first of all, I would recommend everyone not to close the doors to those medical students. They have to get the inspiration by seeing the teams at the bedside. And what I would say to a medical student is that despite the 15 most challenging months of my life, I will still go back and become an intensivist. I can't think of anything more rewarding as a job. I think it's the best job in the world. I admit it's being very tiring. It's not being all roses the last 15 months. But it's also been a very rewarding job. I would be interested to know how it's been for you, but I really saw the previous 20 years of practice and research brought into to an escalation of care that allowed us to try to give an ICU bed to whoever would benefit from an ICU bed. So, if you're a medical student and you're interested in intensive care, come to our intensive care unit and try to go into intensive care. It's a great career. How was it for you? How is it for you, Laura? What would you say to a medical student?
Well, this last month it were exhausting for all of us. I mean, it was really a lot of burden. But I wouldn't have another job. I mean, I love intensive care. I couldn't think of anything better, like you said. So if he wants to come to intensive care, he should come. Maybe in his free time or something, we can find something, I'm pretty sure. And Stefan, how it's doing in Germany?
So we asked students to help on intensive care during the pandemic. And at my ICU, we are actually planning in October to start on a new project, which will be an interprofessional learning environment on the ICU. So nurses who already have experience but are specializing on intensive care, and students in the last year, they will work together, have patients together, and will be supervised by nurses and doctors. That was a project we were working on, and we hope to start in October, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's also important to mention that the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine allows medical students to freely be a member for free. So you can access all the fantastic resources the society provides.
Thank you for reminding that. That's important, Stefan. And just one little anecdote, but I think everyone remembers that the modern ICU was born in response to a pandemic of polio in Copenhagen. If you remember, medical students were actually for the first time part of the first ICU teams there. There were no mechanical ventilators enough, so they were doing shifts to manually ventilate patients to tracheostomies. So I think we should involve them rather than taking them out.
We have a question now to free movement in Europe, Maurizio. I summarize it up. You published a paper together with others from the Society in Intensive Care Medicine. And the question actually is, at what stage is your initiative? How do you think is it going to be forward?
So first of all, Stefan, the free movement of intensivists is something that we've been working on for a while with the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine, in the sense that it's an issue that we have that comes almost from the success itself of how the specialty grows in Europe over the last 20 years. There are many different ways of becoming an intensivist, and as a society we value all of them, whether it's a primary specialty, whether it's a base specialty in anesthesia, then goes to intensive care, pulmonology, and intensive care. What we think is important is that people have the right competencies. Usually you need to have exposure to training to get the right competencies for a certain amount of time. We do value this multidisciplinarity, but this multidisciplinarity has also created some paradoxes in Europe, in the sense that intensive care medicine exists in individual countries, but we don't have intensive care medicine as a European qualification. And as probably you are the best example, the two of you. I know that Laura works in Spain as a primary specialty, with a primary specialty. I know, Stefan, you work in Germany, and like me, you are from anesthesia and intensive care. I respect you both. I learn a lot from you both as intensivists. Then when I hear you speaking, I know that you are competent intensivists, but the current framework does not allow any of you to work in each other intensive care unit. And I think this is preventing significant professional exchanges. We do not want to change anything that relates to individual training in any country. That's not what we promote. What we promote is a framework of recognition of these competencies at European level. So the European Commission has helped us to identify that we can use the annex in a way that was not used before, exactly for this. No one wants to change national training, but we can find frameworks for this. So this is our goal. But in the meanwhile, we're very happy to hear stories of people that are struggling maybe with one training to work in other countries and to get maybe partially recognized to work in intensive care. If we hear these stories, we will be very happy to hear them and to see whether we can help those individuals.
Yeah, clearly those stories are really interesting. I think we can help many people with that. We had a question from Romania. So I don't know if it's he or she, but she said that she discovered ESICM last year, but it's not really known among the country. So how could we increase and spread the society to everyone?
I would like to ask that question to the person that asked. So look, I think what we are trying to do is our mission this year was to try to provide education and share of knowledge as much as possible everywhere. So it's interesting that despite the most challenging year where we couldn't meet in person, this colleague discovered ESIC exactly last year, which was when actually we did travel the least. So probably we're on the right track to be present and to show what we can do and to use social media also to show that we are here. Certainly, when we can meet again, I think we need to give more opportunities also to access our network to Eastern European countries. It was in my program actually to try to provide more opportunities to Eastern European countries and also to low-middle income countries outside of Europe. I think we have the duty now, first of all for Europe, but I would say for the global intensive care community. What I would just tell everyone is that just look at our website and try to explore our website. There are many reasons for which becoming a member of our website, being involved with our society could be important for you. And we value very much all the activities that we do now, from research, from education. The Academy, it's a place where you can really tailor your training to your needs now. Have a look. And we are trying also to find different ways to make it attractive also for new members, maybe to have access to some master classes, or to some specific educational needs.
Thank you, Maurizio. I want to go step back a little bit to your statement you had first about your strategy and about your goals. You were telling us already about diversity, but we have a question. What specific goals for increasing and incorporating diversity do you have for the society?
So it's a very important question, Stefan. And I think one of the things that we have to realize is that probably we need to have a society in which the different parts of the society, they are not working in silos and they are not working completely independently from each other. I think it's very important to create more cross links for the different departments, for the different committees, the different sections. One of the ideas that we discussed together and we will propose is actually to have a bit more horizontal organization where the different committees and sections will allow more people to be involved. So we want to see teams, diverse teams that are going to be represented by diversity in gender, diversity in age, diversity in geography, in the different sections and committees, and these committees to interact and to work more with each other. We will also have a monitoring group for this, where for what relates also young intensivists, next will be part of this, exactly to see how things are going and if we're really achieving to be a more diverse society. I think we are on the right track, but it's important that we carry on with these changes. We should be proud also of some of the changes. I remember when I was chair of the conference, we started to change, to have a turnover of speakers, to see younger speakers, to Stephanie see more females that were not represented enough in our conference. And if you see now, we move to percentages that are, for instance, of 35 to 40% of females in our conferences. And we also see that there are younger and new faces that have been given an opportunity to present at our events. And I think we have to carry on with this strategy, giving more opportunities to people that were not involved before in our society.
Thank you, Maurizio. I think that clarifies many things. So I'm going to change a little bit the topic. Young intensivists and also trainees struggle sometimes when we try to start doing research. So how do you think the society could help them? Because we have the mentoring program, but it's just 10 people right now, but it takes some time to find a mentor, or, you know, what's your advice for them?
So first of all, again, it goes back to how difficult it is now to travel, Laura. It's much easier when you can meet in person. But one request that I would say is to young intensivists, don't be shy to reach out. You know, we are a friendly society and we want to be even more friendly. Don't be shy to reach out to even to some people that maybe you think is unreachable. We are not unreachable. Try to reach out. Even if we are busy, we will try to direct you to someone that maybe can help with this. There are also other things that we can do in the meanwhile. Again, trying to encourage cross links with Next and the different sections of our society. But I'll bring you an example of the Datathon, for instance. The Datathon is something that we held in Milan in my institution for the first 2 years, in 2019 and 2020. Then COVID came and we couldn't repeat it for obvious reasons. So we decided to create a competition for a month, and the data science section worked really hard on that. And we did find people to mentor different teams, to learn the research skills, to play with data and to do data science, to become a bit more familiar with artificial intelligence. So if we want to do something, there are different ways of doing this. And I was speaking with you recently, and you were telling me that maybe we should try to find ways to create a pathway to learn how to do research. I would be very much in favor for something like this. And if you have some ideas on how to do it, I would be very much listening and to know how you would see this coming and support it if possible.
Yeah, perhaps we can stay on this a little bit, because as you said, we were discussing it already, and also from the research committee and from Next, there already has been an initiative to start like a research track. Because of the pandemic, it was delayed, but now we are going to start again. And also there will be a first masterclass in January next year on the research topic. But as we have discussed, we now with more online possibilities and to provide it to much more people than in a normal masterclass, we are thinking about ideas, you know, doing it in a way so that people can access it through the academy easier and find the track somehow there. I really like that idea, and I think we should continue to work on that. Perhaps what we also discussed, and also, yeah, to think a little bit further about, you know, like mentors, but mentor on a research project, helping out a more experienced one. but we have to find ways how to organize it. But this, I think, for our viewers and the young intensivists are important to know that we are thinking about it, ideas, and if you have a suggestion, just email us. We discussed this with you. We'd like to discuss it with you and also think and work on it, how to implement it. Perhaps if I, because the question came up again and we discussed it a little bit, but I just want to repeat that as soon as face-to-face conference meeting are possible again, it is the plan of the society, and Maurizio alluded to it already, to have face-to-face meetings and also start the next fellowship again.
I am missing the face-to-face meetings a lot, you know. I mean, this is a personal story, but you don't dream to become a president during a pandemic and never travel to see any of your members of your society. So it's definitely something that it's in my top list of things to resume as soon as we can. And I do hope, I just not hope, I am convinced that we will have the first face-to-face meeting in 2022. You know, but just on this note, Stefan, we took a decision this year to have everything as digital, also exactly because we decided to follow one of our values, which was inclusiveness. In this moment, the pandemic is not the same stage everywhere in the world. There are many countries that were coming and sending delegates and speakers to our European meeting in the previous years. They would not be able to do that this year with the state of the pandemic. And we don't know, you know, it becomes too late to plan this now for the end of the year. This is also one of the reasons why we decided to have a full digital event, fought for allowing people from different parts of the world to attend, to interact both as delegates and as speakers. But clearly, there comes a moment where we hope that the pandemic will be more under control around the world, and I think next year we will be in a better position. So certainly, again, you have my commitment that as soon as we can, we will meet in person. And next year, you know, the society is 40 years of age. It's a big birthday. I really want to celebrate face to face, not just on a camera.
I think a very important question which came in for us, Laura and me, of course, and all next members is, during your presidency, how do you want to characterize your collaboration with Next, and what do you expect from Next?
That's a very good question, but I think one of the things that I started to do, and I want to do more, is that, as I said, for every project that we are doing, and we have a lot of ongoing projects now, I'm asking help and advice to Next. I mean, Stefan, you know that you are part of different steering groups of the different projects that we are in the society. You have sent some of the Next members to some guidelines and so on. It's my commitment to have you involved in everything the society does and to help us to build the future of the society in this sense. It's very, very important also because I really believe that Next is important for the society, not just for what Next is, but for what it represents for the future. You are the leadership of this society for the next 30 years. And when you are out of Next, this should have been a trampoline to go into other parts of the society. You can do that, of course, even when you are in Next, and I do invite you to reach out to sections, to committed, to see whether they need help, to see whether you can be involved also when you're part of Next. But importantly, remember that there is a big part of the society that is not Next, that needs you when you are either tired of Next or when you're a bit too old to be Next.
I mean, we really expect things from you too, Maurizio. You know, we want to be able to reach to you every time we have an idea, that we can talk about going abroad, about doing more and more innovative things, not just for young members, but also for everyone from the committee. So we really would love that you hear us.
But you know, if I can take this offer, Laura and Stefan, what would you like from your president from a Next perspective? What would you like to develop for the next years?
If I may start, Lara. So I think we have alluded some important things already. The sustainability of our programs, which is most people know the next fellowships. We have started before the pandemic with a new structured version of the next mentorship. Because of the pandemic, it didn't work as we expected, but we would like to continue that, to make it a structured program which brings people together and also opens up a possibility of networking in different levels. Then we have alluded already to have some new ideas how educational content about research, because this is very difficult for the beginners. And a fourth point we have not discussed yet, in my point of view, but this is a little bit more future-like. We have very good already educational content in the academy. But when you think about the future, I've envisioned things like virtual reality simulation, so that it can be accessed also from different parts of the world. And on the other hand, case-based computer technology like gamification. I think in this futuristic direction, we perhaps could think a little bit further and develop things. That would be the four big pillars, I would say to. Laura, do you want to add something?
They are valid points, but please, Laura, go ahead and then I will come.
No, it's okay, answer and then I will go.
Okay, now, I think it's important what you say, Stefan, also because the education has also evolved in the last 20 years and we use more and more simulation. And when we were meeting face-to-face, even our simulation center in the conference had become from one stand to basically one of the most popular areas in the whole conference. Again, that is something that we need to resume as much as possible, but I think you're right. We can use digital tools to simulate and to learn in a different way. You were part with Synenting Space, the training program that we've done with the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine for the European Commission to train healthcare workers not working regularly in intensive care. And you remember what we did just in a few days of filming with virtual reality. It's been probably one of the most realistic virtual experiences where you are immersed in an ICU team. Those things we've learned to do now, they came out because of a crisis, but that's often the case. When there is a crisis, new technology, new ways of doing things are becoming, the new standard sometimes. And I think we will have to use some of that, even though I still believe that the live face-to-face interaction still give that part of human factors that are irreplaceable by simulators. But we can definitely find some use also of some of this technology to scale up maybe to some parts where we cannot bring this. So I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah, thank you, Maurizio. I think Stefan has summarized many of my ideas too, I think, from the whole committee. I just would ask that we really want you to be reachable for us. I mean, when we have an idea, that you listen to us, maybe try to refine it and do something nice for our member.
You can count on it, and the more ideas you have, the better. But then I'll give you some work to do to transform them into actions.
Sure. So let's move to some personal or more deep questions. So considering your background, could you share with us your thoughts about your experience, advantages and difficulties of being a young researcher and intensivist abroad? Do you have any good advice for young next members that are planning to work abroad?
So yeah, that's while you were talking, I had a lot of memories of my life coming through. And one thing that I would say is that I do encourage everyone to travel and to spend some time abroad, if possible. It's a great opportunity. I really think it's a fantastic opportunity if you can do it when you travel. For me, I always enjoyed that part. When I was a medical student, I went to Madrid for a few months. And I learned Spanish. I saw a different culture there. And that was the trigger to say, when I am in my residency, I want to see something different. And then I went to the United Kingdom, in London at St. George's Hospital, where actually I had most of my career was there. And then now I'm back in Italy. The point is not so much where you go, but to have a project and the willingness to learn and to see the journey as a process of learning. And I think if you can do that, I really encourage you to do that. That for me is one of the key advice that I would give if I can give advice to everyone. That's why I'm also so much in favor of restarting the fellowships as soon as we can. The other thing, and we mentioned this already, it's very important to try and find a mentor. And I know that you may say, it's easy to say, but it's more difficult to find. It's actually surprising when you reach out to people, you may find that there are people that were just waiting for an email or from a call, and there's nothing wrong to try to reach to one or two of these people. Sometimes mentor, they don't have to be in the specific field of your interest. Sometimes they could be, but sometimes it could be just someone that is helping you to progress with some skills, with some parts of your career, sometimes with some parts of your life where you need a little bit of help to balance work and life. So try to find the mentor. And, mentors are not just someone that is available, they want to be a mentor, are also sometimes people that are just expecting someone to say, can you help me? It's a very powerful group of words. I would like to learn, can you help me? It's quite a nice word, it's quite a nice phrase to hear if you're in that position, and most people will try to find some time and something to share with you. Those are the two things that I would say, really. Don't be scared of traveling, don't be scared of trying new things, and reach out to see if there is someone that can mentor you. That's very important.
Do you have also any advice on challenges during that road?
Challenges during? During
that road, during that period.
Going abroad is a major challenge. You have to learn a language. You will not speak the language very well at the beginning. You have an accent. I'm very lucky because I learn English so well. I don't have an Italian accent anymore. Of course, I'm joking. There are several challenges. You are immersed in a completely different culture, but that's something that enriches you as a person. And if you are abroad, that's part of the experience, and maybe that's one of the biggest parts of the experience, also to learn a different culture, different language, meet people inside and outside your hospital or research environment. That enriches you, and I do think that when you grow as a person, you thrive better also as a professional. So don't spend time just in the research lab or in the hospital, but also try to integrate also with some life outside, because it's not easy. It's a big challenge, and again, even there you will find people that will try to help you. My experience is often that if you ask somebody that has done the journey before you, again, they will be there to try to give you some tips on how to fit with this.
I mean, there's also the eMove platform. Maybe a couple of 4 years ago, we did an online platform with information of regulation and health insurance and everything you need to go abroad. So you can come online and look at it. So it's really, really helpful when you want to go abroad.
And of course, one of the challenges is the free movement of intensivists, but we're working on it.
Actually, there was also an interesting question I have not really thought about yet. So the question is if it wouldn't be a great idea to build an international PhD program in intensive care medicine. Do you think the society would have a place in such in organizing such a thing?
We would be very happy to do such a thing. I'm not so sure the kind of legal framework of PhDs allows you to do that. My understanding is that with doctoral degrees, you need a base university to do that. So nothing is impossible, but I don't think that's something that we can do alone as ESIC. But certainly we could create a network of PhDs in intensive care, and many of us have a university attached to our hospital so that we could accommodate that. And actually the European Union, funny that you are asking these questions, in this moment is promoting some of these initiatives. So there are some grants exactly to try to create networks of PhDs around a specific theme. And for instance, myself, I'm involved with some related to artificial intelligence and intensive care medicine. And so I think you will see more and more of this initiative. But I don't think the society could award a PhD itself without a university.
I think, as Laura mentioned, the eMove platform is a way we would like to bring this forward. Now with the new TBG group, as a translational biology group section in the society, the plan is actually to provide more information on PhD calls there, so that the platform will have more information and opportunities available for people who are interested in such programs. So again, to provide information within our network that I think our society can handle.
Certainly.
I think we are coming to an end, and I would like to give you a little bit more time for that question. I also told you that something like this will coming up. So I would ask you, Maurizio, at the end of the session to provide a little bit personal career advice. I know you already gave that on going abroad, but in general, you know, as I told in the beginning, you're one of the, you have been the youngest full professor in Italy. You are a young and motivated president of the society now. So what are things you would like to tell our young intensivist viewers or people who are becoming intensivists? What advice would you give?
It's a very challenging question when you have to give answers about yourself. But if I can share how my career has been, first of all, I think I've also been lucky to find people that have trusted in my abilities and given me opportunities and open doors when I was very young. And that's why I have so much sympathy about Next and about young intensivists and about trying to do the same for our community of young intensivists. I think it's important that we try to open as many doors as possible to young people. So apart from having a mentor, I would say probably when my career became, I would say more consolidated, I would say it's probably when I started to have a lot of fun in the things that I was doing. And I know it's something that you often hear about career advice, but I do believe that is really truth. When you're young and you start to go into research, into academia, or into leadership, you have a lot of opportunities. Try to get something that you think that you're going to enjoy, because enjoying that journey is very important, is very, very important. If you do that, if you're enjoying the journey, then usually the opportunities come, and often they come and they are different from the ones that you were thinking in your head. I was not thinking of ever going back to Italy, for instance, 5 years ago, and now here I am, and I'm very happy, and who knows what life is going to bring in 5 years. When I approached the society 15 years ago for the first time, I never thought I was going to become the president at this stage, but I started to have fun. I became very involved. Another thing that I would say is that usually if you have an idea and you have the energy and the time commitment to deliver that idea, you will find that a place like our society will give you the space to do that. So if you have a project, if you have something that you want to develop in education or research, it's my experience that if on top of the idea you also are committed to the energy and the time, people usually give you the opportunity to do that. And if it's not in the society, that's also something that I'm seeing in my experience in the hospitals and in the university where I worked before. So try to have fun, and also try to remember that to be able to stick to this journey having fun, it's important to try to have a balanced life as well. So, you know, even if it is very, very difficult and very complicated, I still try to get my sleep, my exercise, and I know it sounds more like a life advice, but I do think that it's very important. If you do that, then you are more productive and you're having more fun at work as well.
Thanks, Maurizio. I want to go a little bit further on this life balance that you were talking about, because sometimes young intensivists find it really difficult to balance work and family. And most of us start thinking of having children, and we say, oh, when, where, I don't know. how would you say to them?
Well, I would say, look, I became a father when I was 38 the first time, and I wish I'd done it before. Nobody is going to write your age index on your grave. So, and your kids do not care about your age index. So those are the important things in life. So don't hold on starting your family, on starting what's out there, because you're going to regret it. You don't want to have regrets. So, do it. Now, don't get me wrong. The years of residency are very tiring. And even when you're a young consultant, a young specialist, it's a lot of time that you're putting on your work. I also remember nights without sleeps. If you have kids, you're going to have even less sleep. But it's important that you get the priorities right in life. It's great to be an intensivist, but it cannot be the only priority in life. And if you do the mistakes, that often what happens is that you don't do well, even at work. So it's very important to get those priorities. It's not a plan B. It's work-life balance, and I think actually your generation is teaching us much better, and probably than my generation in this sense, and the generations older than me. So don't hold on that. Those things are important, and you should do it.
Thank you, Maurizio. I think you make a really good statement. I think good advice for us. So, Stefan, will you say something?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it was a very nice last statement, learning the generations learning from each other. And I think the purpose of this talk today was to get into contact, to talk about the next generation of intensivists. I think after what we have heard, the next members of the society can be proud to have a president who is so much eager to get the young intensivists involved. And I thank everyone for listening and viewing. And I hope that we can have an on-site version of this, or a face-to-face version of this soon again.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Very much.